it has been almost 11 years since I've had a panic attack, but we got stuck in the snow on this like zigzaggy highway. I had a panic attack in the car. And it was like I could have really gone down the road of shame in that, of like, I should be stronger than this. And I've recovered from all of this. But instead, I can't necessarily control how my nervous system has responded to this perceived fear, which is a legitimate fear. I don't know how people are going to drive in the snow. I don't know how to drive in the snow very well. This is like on the side of a cliff next to the ocean and there's ice everywhere. So like legitimate fear, right? There is a legitimate risk and fear there. I can't control how my body handles that incoming fear. And so even though, yes, it frustrated my husband because he's like, we're just going to power through and whatever, I was like, no, I can't do that. Like, I cannot do this. And so what I'm sharing with you is in that moment, I was like, I knew that I had a choice. Like, I could choose to allow myself to feel ashamed and embarrassed that I was experiencing this thing, or I could offer my body some compassion and say like, okay, body, thank you for telling me that there's something wrong. Like, I'm going to honor that and just sit with this for a little bit instead of judging myself. And that allowed me to like, okay, I'm still experiencing this. I'm still feeling anxiety in my body, but it took off that extra element of shame and judgment and like going down that, oh my gosh, am I heading back into panic zone again? Which was a terrifying way to live. And I lived with that for a long time. So I think identifying that having panic and anxiety is triggering in and of itself because of your journey. And so honoring the fact that, and even just saying, you know what, like, body, I get it. Like, and I know that might sound weird to like talk to your body, but it's more just honoring the fact that you have a body that God gave you. And our bodies do have limitations. So body, I recognize that this is reminding you of something painful that you've been through. And that's probably really scary, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be forever. And that's when you have to start telling yourself the truth. Like, I had to start telling myself, we will get back over the mountain. I don't know how. And it makes me want to poop my pants, but I'm going to do it anyway. Like, I don't know how we're going to do it, but and I'm like, okay, so it was recognizing the emotion in my body was valid, but also telling myself the truth. I will feel better. I don't know what's going on in my body right now, but I will feel better. And so I think there's room for both. And I think even there might need to be some emotional release of past trauma because of, for me at least, okay, so having been stuck on antidepressants for a really long time and then doctors not helping me, and then having panic and anxiety after Alexis was born and nobody helping me, and feeling like that, like, I will never get out of this. I will never be well. That was like the story I told myself in my head, right? Supplements that can help our nervous system, or things that you can do to help your nervous system shut down, because there is a reality of that we do need to help our physiology shift. Which for me, I think part of the anxiety was that I had caffeine like 4 days in a row and I didn't sleep well 4 nights in a row. And so of course my physiology is like not in the best place. And so that made me more susceptible to feeling that way. I want you to be able to honor yourself in this and say, look, I'm going to pay attention to my body, because maybe my body needs to let go of some past trauma here with this. And really being at a place now where you can actually acknowledge how scary that was for you to have to walk through that. When we are perfectionists and we're very like goal oriented and task oriented, it's very hard to allow our body to experience something and say like, you know what, I think I just need to give myself some grace. Cause that was really freaking hard, man. Like, I'm having some stuff come up from when I was pregnant with Olivia and my mom was dying that I hadn't thought about in like 7 years, And I'm like, oh, okay, I get this now. Like, my body is remembering something that my brain, like, because I'm so forward goal, like oriented, just did not allow myself to even feel it. Not intentionally, just by default. Typically in these kind of situations, we need to change our level of support. So it doesn't mean that you're going backwards. It means that your body has experienced something new that's triggering something old. And so whenever this happens, I feel like I could look at it two ways. I could be pissed off and irritated, which is valid. That's valid. I do allow myself time to feel that, by the way. But then I say, okay, this is my body actually bringing me into a greater level of healing, because I never would have addressed this trauma if this had not happened. It's okay. And I would even maybe write this down on a note card. It's okay that I'm feeling what I'm feeling right now, because I won't always feel this way forever. And that, to me at least, and something that I've practiced, is it helps my tolerance of the anxiety that I'm experiencing. It gives me that resilience and the flexibility to say, like, okay, I can handle this. This feels really big and really scary, but I can handle it. So it's giving you an opportunity to address maybe some of the emotional stuff. But then we also probably need to up some nutritional support. So there's a couple of things that are really, really helpful for panic and anxiety. One of those is called Rescue Remedy. This literally probably saved my husband's life more than my life. Just being honest, on the way home, because I was like, I'm about to throw up. I am so anxious, like getting in this car. And he's like, we'll be fine. Like, if you skid, you just got to do this way. And I was like, you said skid? Good. Words not to say to me right now. Anyways, but I found, and I didn't have any with me because, again, have not had any panic or anxiety in a very long time. So had to go to the store. They have Rescue Remedy gum that you can chew. And it's literally some herbs, it's some floral essences, which basically, if you think about essential oils as super duper duper concentrated first distillation of the plant, floral water or floral essences are the like fourth distillation. So they still can contain the therapeutic benefits, but much less concentrated and a little bit easier to tolerate for the person using them. So and I use this. This was one of the things that was recommended to me when I first started having panic attacks postpartum, and it helped tremendously. So they have a tincture, they have a gum, they have a little pellet thingy that you can absorb. And so I just would keep it in my purse and know that it was supporting my nervous system. It was helping to, if you think about it, bring in the troops to help your nervous system to kind of hold itself upright. So that is something you can do in the moment. And I want to give you permission not to feel any shame for how much you need that support right now. There's nothing wrong with you for experiencing a new hurdle. It's just that it's triggering some old stuff and it's pulling you back into those old belief systems. When you have those moments of anxiety and it feels like, overwhelm, or your heart's racing, are you thinking about catastrophic things happening? So it's the worst case scenario, I'm going to get sick and I'm going to die, or my kids are going to die. Okay. So this is a homeopathy. I could read it to you, but it's just a little pellet that you put under your tongue. It's really great for anxiety or panic that leads you into having catastrophic thoughts that's been triggered by an event. So it can be big or small. It doesn't have to be a big event. It could be something as little, and for people with a history of panic or anxiety, it can be something as little as feeling anxiety again for the first time since you've really gotten some healing. That can be just the triggering event. It doesn't have to be you watched a plane fall out of the sky. So just to clarify that, it's called aconite homeopathy. Pay attention after you use it to how you feel. And if it were me and I was having anxiety in the morning, as soon as I opened my eyes, I would put it under my tongue and then just see if you notice a decrease in the intensity or the frequency. So just a little personal example of this. So Alexis had gotten a lot of healing with her pandas, and then she went into one of the worst flares she's ever had, a 5-month flare after 18 months of healing, which is super traumatizing, to all of us to be thrown right back into that. And I noticed I was starting to feel that tension in my body, just the tightness, and I could tell my body was carrying all of it, right? Didn't notice it so much in my thoughts as much as I did just this physical response. Like I could tell I was in the freeze like response. And so I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? I think I need to take aconite and just see if that doesn't like help me to kind of pop out of this, because it was triggered by her going into a flare and it totally popped me right out of it.
Mm.
So that is another option. And so that would just be something I would pay attention to. If you're noticing some improvement with that, like, okay, I've noticed like a decrease in intensity and a decrease in the frequency or how overwhelmed I am, but I'm still not feeling awesome, let me know,
Yeah.
because there are some other
Okay.
things that we can do just really to help buffer your nervous system, because I think there's a couple different components happening that have kind of like hit you all at once, and it's triggered that like fight or flight response
Mm.
and that nervous system overwhelm.